All right, I'm Tom Fisher. I'm the town manager for the town of Frisco. The town council held a meeting on December 10th, and I'm here to recap that. The first thing they discussed was our town standard deed restriction or restrictive covenant on deed restricted property. We've always had deed restrictions on certain types of affordable housing. But there's been residents in several of our neighborhoods that live in deed restricted housing that have asked for the council to discuss changes. They've been going through a process over several months to do that. And in this last meeting, they covered several different topics. You can go into our website to see more about that. But what they talked about was how buyers during a resale are selected. There's ideas around wait lists, lotteries, hybrid lotteries, or just what's in our current deed restriction, which is that a seller gets to pick their buyer. Council gave direction on that that you will see in a future draft of a new deed restriction. They also talked about initial sales prices when a new project is built, what that sales price is based on. So you'll see that as well. Other topics were around how buyers qualify from their work within Summit County or how long they've lived in Summit County. The duration of how long a homeowner of a deed restricted property has to go into a deed restriction. And then, of course, the big topic, which is how is a resale price calculated. All of that, the community will see soon in a deed restriction draft that the council will be looking at in January. There will be ample time for public comment in our meetings for that. We will schedule that, so please be looking for that. Another topic on the work session agenda had to do with affordable housing project at 602 Galena Street in Frisco. That project has been developing over the last year and a half. From a financing standpoint, from a grant support standpoint, as well as going through community development approval and planning commission approval of that project. The most important thing to know is we believe that project will start its construction process in 2025. We're going to be going through with the council a financing process on that with our housing authority, so be looking for that in the future. In the regular business agenda for the council, they covered a topic that's a little nuanced and came out of the state legislature session last year. The state legislature passed a bill that allowed towns to essentially opt into not having to clear with the state the ability to put automatic vehicle ID enforcement in place on state highways. So how does that affect Frisco? Well, Frisco has State Highway 9 that runs from I-70 through Frisco. But we have to actually put a resolution in place in order to reserve the right to do that. And so that's what the council passed. It doesn't mean that we are installing automatic vehicle ID. We have no plans to do that right now. We have no budget authority to do that. It just reserves the right in the future if future councils feel that's important. The other thing on the regular business agenda that was covered is kind of a cleanup from our last election process, and it has to do with when there's an uncontested race. Before the council contemplated this, the timing of the way candidates were put on the ballot and ballots were ordered, and before we knew there was going to be an uncontested race, we could have to print ballots even if there was an uncontested race, and that would cost us a lot of money. We have changed to mirror state law so that we can understand when there's going to be an uncontested race before we print ballots, so we no longer would have to spend that money if that was the case. As always, if you want to participate with the Town of Frisco and the council, you can get on our website at friscogov.com to understand what's going on. Our town council meetings are the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, and public comment period is at 7 p.m. each of those days. Or you can always email the council at council@townoffrisco.com.